Today we are going to be making a pair of leather and turquoise earrings. They're really fun to make. I made this pair a really long time ago, and I'm gonna show you how to make them today. They're just really cool boho comfy earrings, and you don't have to be perfect at wire wrapping if you've never made jewelry before. This is a really easy place to start, in my opinion. And the top, I'm gonna show you a couple different ways to end the top, but I know it looks a little bit messy, but I find that to look kind of cool in this particular design. It's not finished off with the end caps or anything like that. I love to use the bolo style leather for these earrings. They don't work with a thinner leather, I've found, unless you braided it yourself. So here are a couple different options, and you can click around. This is 3mm bolo leather. So I'm gonna use the white leather, and I'm gonna grab my ruler and cut about 8 inches. This will be trimmed off, but I like to kind of pull it, work it a little bit before I cut it, make it a little bit softer. And I'll just go ahead and cut another piece, since these are earrings. You'll need 2. This is another one that I've played around with that design too, so we'll see. I brought my bag of mixed turquoise with me today. Okay, so I'm gonna also be using 24 gauge copper wire. Let's get started. So first I'm gonna lay out my pattern, and I love to do 3 little nuggets on the bottom, like this one. If you don't have nuggets, you can use rondelles, you can use rounds, or anything you have at home. But I'm just gonna do 3 nuggets at the bottom, since that's kind of my favorite look. And then I like to switch into the round beads. So I might do 3 4mm rounds. I love the pop of neon green in these too. You can mix your colors, mix your shades of green if you want to. And then I'm gonna just move to a smaller size at the top, just a little bit smaller. Really tiny, guys. So just make sure you have your beads lined up for both earrings, so you kind of know that you have the same pattern going on. And okay, so now I'm gonna take my leather, and I'm gonna actually work from the middle this way, and then I'm gonna flip it around and do the other side. So cut your 24 gauge wire. I'm gonna cut about 3 feet. So, ooh, yep, my pattern just went everywhere, that's fine. I remember it. I'm gonna push this up a little bit and just work over the wood. Okay, so find the middle of your 24 gauge wire in the middle of your leather, and you're just gonna start by doing a little wrap a couple of times. And you can be really tight and neat with that if you want to, or you can kind of space out your wraps, but you can see mine aren't like perfectly tight. I wanna be able to bend it. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the middle nugget. Slide that onto your wire. And once you do this, you can see the shape of your nugget. Hopefully you're happy with it. You can always play around with that, the way it sits on the leather. Like, you could switch it out at this point if you wanted to. But this is gonna be the bottom piece. And I find it's just easier to start from the bottom and work my way on either side, because the spacing works out better. Okay, so now we're just gonna coil here. And as I do that, I'm gonna just slowly kind of start the curvature of my hoop. so just start to kind of curve your piece up, and we're just gonna keep adding beads. Now we need our second nugget, and then we'll switch to rounds. If there's like a flatter side to your nugget, it will sit nicely on that leather too, so. Also try to pull your leather as you go so that it's smooth. Now it's time for rounds. Okay, wrap. And pull another. And a good way to use your leather scraps. Okay, 4 beads on. Now I'm ready for another round. Okay, so far so good. We're almost halfway up that first side, and we're gonna switch to a smaller size round. And just make sure, and when you're wrapping, that you just keep them on the same part of the leather. So just line them up side by side. Kind of hold your bead, and then gently wrap that copper wire around. And this is 24 gauge. Another small one. Hold it, wrap gently. And this is already gonna be pretty long, but I am gonna add one more little 2 millimeter on top just because I have it laid out and it's gonna be cute. Love those little tiny turquoise rounds. Okay, so this is the last one on this side. I'm just gonna do a little coil here. And now I'm gonna switch to the other side, okay? Okay, just flip it around. And now we're back to nuggets. Back to nuggets. Oh, that one is drilled not ideally. Let me find another one. This one looks good. Okay, and moving on to rounds. One more, 2 more. Not everything has to look really like polish, you know? I think the boho look is so cute. Okay. And this is 24 gauge wire, copper wire, and this is gonna be my hoop. These are gonna be biggies. Pretty dramatic, right? Okay. So another thing that I didn't mention that I should have is that as you start to go up your second side, it's nice to kind of fold it and compare your spacing. That's why I like to start from the center of my leather. So just kind of fold it. Yeah, that's great. And so just hold it from above and just make sure that as you go, they're relatively lined up in the same spacing. Now I'm ready for my next size. Here we go, a little 3mm. That feels a little bit far. Yep, it's good. You'll see me do this a lot during this process. I always like to straighten my wire out with my hand as I go and prepare for the next bead to come down. Just makes your wraps look better, I think. And copper wire is so soft that it just straightens right out. All right, this is the last one on this side. Okay, so now we have all of our little beads wrapped on, and we're ready to finish off the top of the earring. So what I'm gonna do is gather them both in my hand at the top. I'm definitely gonna be cutting off some of this excess leather and just kind of shaping my piece. You may want to go ahead and do the other earring to this point so you can do this step together, but I'm just gonna show you one today. And all I'm doing is holding it, shaping it, making sure it's the way that I like it. You might need to pull your beads out a little bit to make them flat on the edge. But I'm happy with that. So I'm going to take one of these tails of copper wire and wrap it around both. Of those just a little bit. And I'm just trying to get an initial wrap of that together. Now, here is the step that I think is really neat. So if you have a head pin, a rose tone or copper tone head pin, you can actually stick it up in between the pieces of leather. This is my head pin, just a regular flat head pin. And you can stick it in between that initial wrap you just did, in between those two tails. So this is going to become like a secret little component that hides and actually catches right here and makes your loop on the top. You can see it better on this side. See that? So that's how I did the first pair of earrings, like these ones I wear all the time. Another way you can do that is if you don't have a copper head pin, you can just use a piece of thicker copper wire to be your head pin. Make your own head pin with a little coil on the bottom and bring it up to the top like I did on this one. So it's up to you. I'll show you how to make your own if you don't know. But this one I find is really sturdy because I made my own head pin and I was able to kind of wrap it further down. So if you don't have your own head pin, just grab a piece of 20 or 22 gauge bare copper wire to match your other wire and just cut about 6 inches or so. And we're gonna make a little coil on the bottom. I'm gonna use my little tweezer nose pliers and just create like a little knot at the bottom, a coil knot. Okay, there's my little coil, and I'm just gonna flatten that out a little bit. This is not gonna show, so it doesn't have to be pretty. And then you can stick that. Let me take this guy out. This is way too long of a piece of wire, but it's okay. Just open that up and slide it up through the center. Okay, so now that's gonna make our loop in a moment. Once you get this step finished, you can Make sure it's in between those pieces of leather, but we're just gonna keep wrapping those tails from adding our beads around that. Kind of cover everything up. Okay, we get everything situated the way that I like it. Okay. He's not really sitting how I want him to, but I'm just gonna wrap over him and I'll never know. Okay, so just keep binding these initial tails. Take that first one, wrap it here. Now I'm going to switch to the other piece. Go ahead and get that started to wrap here. I do kind of like this part to be a little bit neat. So I'm wrapping pretty tight. I'm just paying a little bit more attention to where this is going. Okay, so we've finished this wrap. We need to end our little tails. So I'm just gonna take one of these tails, wrap it on that white piece just right here, that leather piece. Wrap it in there. And I'm gonna cut it off inside of both of those tails. Yeah, you can see like right up in there, I'm gonna cut it there. And then press it into that leather so that the ending is right on the inside. Okay, and we're gonna do the same thing with the other tail. I'll just flip it right on over. Make sure you still have your head pin piece here. And we're just gonna end this on this side of the leather. Okay, and now you can trim that off inside. Okay, and then tuck that in to that leather. Okay guys, so we've got that finished. We can trim off our leather. If you have a knot cutter, you can use that. I always just use my plier 61. It's just there for me. That's this plier, which we still do have. Thank goodness. Just cut your leather up there. And now we're ready to do the top. Okay, so all you do is grab a round nose plier or a bail shaping plier of some sort. We're gonna make a loop up here. So just bend it away from you. Grab it just beyond the bend. We're just making the loop at the top by wrapping it around our plier. Okay, and then we're going to coil that. So you can grab your piece either here, or you can put your tool back in the loop if you wish, and just wrap. If you want to, you can try to cover up those little leather pieces, but I think it looks okay leaving a little bit of those exposed. This is gonna be still and fixed, so I know that it's always gonna be fine. It just feels more secure to me. And so I'm just gonna finish this off. and come back up, flush cut that, and tuck that little piece down. And yeah, it looks kind of messy, but that's the style of this design. This is a boho piece, so it's very secure, but it's not the neatest. It doesn't have to be neat. All right, so then the last step is to open up that ear wire. I did include a link to my favorite antique copper ear wires in the show. Slide on your piece and close that back up with your flat nose or chain nose plier. And that's it. Super cute, super comfy. Look how cute they are on. They're just fun. And I will work on doing something other than earrings. What would you guys like to see? Rings, bracelets, necklaces, anything? Let me know. I'm happy to do anything. I think I just love earrings so much.